there was a metric called heart rate variability that could show and track these improvements. So if I did something good for my health, that would be revealed in the heart rate. And I could use that to detect things I was doing that was not helping me and my health, and reveal the kind of energy thieves, reveal food that I couldn't tolerate. That could be like chili or mustard or many surprising things that your heart will react to that I had no idea.
Welcome to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm your host, Jenn Trepeck, talking wellness and weight loss for real life. We're here to clear up the myths, misinformation, bad science, and marketing to teach you how to eat and how to cheat. Are you ready? I'm having salad with a side of fries. Hey friend, welcome back to Salad with a Side of Fries. I'm Jenn Trepeck, your host and health coach, here with you every week for Wellness Without the Weirdness. And each February, I like to celebrate Heart Health Month with at least one episode. Today is that episode for this year. So right at the beginning of February, we are tackling this. And while other years we have talked about cholesterol and sexual health and cardiopulmonary exercise testing, today we're going to focus on insights from your heart rate monitor and what we can learn from the information that it's sharing. So to teach us more, I have a very special featured guest. He's a GP and emergency physician, documentary filmmaker, author, and photographer. Over a 26-year career as a freelance doctor, he has worked all over Norway, had 100,000 consultations, and thus gained a unique picture of the diseases that plague us. He learned that the cause is most often found in the stresses our lifestyles place on our bodies. When his father passed away at 73, he realized that he had to change his own lifestyle. Being 40 pounds overweight, undertrained, overstressed, underslept, and drinking alcohol daily, he learned that this lifestyle could deprive him of decades. Using wearables, he found a way to track and regulate his nervous system and physiology. He's an award-winning photographer, author of The Camera Cure, and has made several TV films about his pilgrimages to Nidaros and Santiago de Compostela. Hopefully I said those right. While he lives in Norway, he's an inveterate traveler. He has visited over 80 countries and speaks 8 languages. We are so grateful that English is one of them, so he can join us on Salad with a Side of Fries. Without further ado, I give you Torkil Færø.
Thank you. What a great introduction. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome officially to Salad with a Side of Fries. And I'm especially excited because I think so many people use wearables, right? Whether it's the Apple Watch, the Oura Ring, the Whoop. I've been experimenting with one called Ringcon. And they look at these biometrics, but don't necessarily know how to interpret the information that they're being provided or what to do to really improve the numbers that they're seeing.
Yes, that's right. It's so popular now. I was running the New York Marathon in November, and I could just see Oura Ring commercials, all over the city. So I understand that all around the world, and probably particularly in the States, using wearables like the Whoop, as you said, and Oura Ring and Garmin watches and so on is very, very popular. And maybe not everybody knows how to use the information that they get from the wearables. Like, what is heart rate variability? Why is it important? And so on.
Exactly. So that's why we're here. That's why you're here. And I'm so excited. And we heard a bit of your story in introducing you, but I want to dig a little deeper on that. And then we'll get into all the good stuff. Really quick, though, let's tell our members what they're getting this week. So members, in honor of February being National Hot Breakfast Month, I'm sending you a recipe for healthy breakfast bowls. They're great to make ahead, and then it's super easy to have a hot breakfast without it taking a ton of time. They're packed with veggies. You could even take this recipe and then change it up with your favorite foods or whatever you have in the fridge. There's also potatoes in there, of course. So, we get the salad and fries in our breakfast bowl of sorts. So it is absolutely delicious. If you want this recipe, be sure you're a member. Go to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries. For $10 a month, you get weekly recipes, a monthly article or tool, extra discounts from me and our partners and guests, plus access to live Q&A sessions. It's a total deal. I say it all the time. It's a steal when you take advantage of the full offerings because you'll save far more than that $10 cost. Seriously, a no-brainer way to show yourself that your health is a priority. Plus, being a member supports this podcast in this community so we can continue to bring you new episodes and experts every single week. So remember, all you have to do is head over to glow.fm/salad with a side of fries, or just click the link below in the episode notes because that's a lot easier. Once you're there, you click the little I agree button and then support now. Enter your email and payment info, click subscribe, and you're all set. You're going to get this week's recipe for the healthy breakfast bowls. Okay, Torkil, we heard about your father's death, kind of being that lightning moment for you to say, wait a minute, let me reclaim my own health. And the part that we didn't hear in your story is what led you to focus on wearables for yourself and then specifically to like heart rate variability.
Well, I was, I was sailing around the world with my family. I had been focused on traveling, on living an adventurous life. Hadn't really focused so much on my own health. And then my dad died at 73, just from a normal cancer, like half of us will die from. And I understood that my lifestyle had so much more to say that if I would continue to live this lifestyle, maybe I would die at 73 or even earlier. So I decided to look around in the literature. How can I live longer? I wanted to travel. I wanted to maybe see my grandchildren at some point. And I discovered that there was so much new information about how we could do that. Sleep better, exercise, eat better, and all of the things we know now. So I changed my life around. And some years into the life change, I understood that there was a metric called heart rate variability that could show and track these improvements. So if I did something good for my health, that would be revealed in the heart rate. And I could use that to detect things I was doing that was not helping me and my health, and reveal the kind of energy thieves, reveal food that I couldn't tolerate. That could be like chili or mustard or many surprising things that your heart will react to that I had no idea. And that would kind of sap me of my energy for the night and the next day. And, also doing good things for myself, cutting alcohol so that you could see that is the worst stressor of all. According to Whoop, the American bracelet that many people have, alcohol is the worst stressor of all. So just cutting down on alcohol had a lot to say on my energy level and my health. And of course, I lost cutting out alcohol, eating better. Would also drop the weight, as you said, 40 pounds down. Also exercising, getting a better heart health would also help on my overall energy, on my overall capacity. And that you could see it on the wearable that your VO2 max increases and your resting heart rate decreases and so on. And maybe the most important then, the heart rate variability. And maybe that's not a familiar term for your listeners, and it wasn't for me earlier either. That was a concept that we did not learn through medical school. But it's a measure of the state of our autonomic nervous system, the state of our stress balance. And that we can get a metric that shows us our stress balance makes it so much easier to navigate, because modern life is stressful and the stress comes from so many different sources. So heart rate variability, that is about the autonomic nervous system, the system that we share at the bottom of our brains with all vertebrates and all mammals, and also us as humans. If we are in the parasympathetic state, the restful state where recovery happens, where your body's immune system works well, then the heart rate will go up when we breathe in because there's more oxygen in the lungs. And when we breathe out, the heart rate will go down a little bit. So there will be a variation between heartbeats, which of course is a heart rate variability. But if we are in the stress state, for whatever reason, either we have quarreled with our partner or been eating chili or drinking alcohol or trained too much or many different sources, then the heart will beat at a very steady pace, just like a metronome. And it's like this ancient system in our brains interprets the situation as this organism is in danger. We need to use all available forces, even when there's less oxygen in the lungs. And of course, the wearables, the most important job of the wearables is to track the heart rate so that you can see whether you are in the stress state or the de-stress state and whether you have a sustainable stress level over time. And so this is how I use the wearables. And
yeah, so I just want to recap for everybody real quick. So heart rate variability is essentially showing the time between heartbeats. And what we've come to understand is that we actually want that number to be higher, right? That when that number is higher, there's greater variability between those heartbeats. It's a sign of the body being in a restful state where it can adapt essentially to whatever's coming at us. And when we're in fight or flight, when we're in that stress response, the heart rate is more steady, which has decreased heart rate variability, right? And that becomes a function of the body trying to protect and, have all systems to survive.
Yeah, right? That's right. And as you say, it's called fight and flight. So getting out of medical school and working as a doctor, I was never in fight or flight. So before tracking this, I would assume that I was in rest and digest all the time. I was never scared. I was never fleeing away from anything. So when I started tracking this system, I saw that I was in the fight and flight mode almost all the time because of the food I was eating. Because I was eating food with gluten, food with milk, and was eating for too long. I was having breakfast, I was eating all the way until the evening, and I was using nicotine, I was using alcohol. So suddenly you could see that it's not really a fight or flight system. It's much broader than that. So that's an important thing that you can, I'm not sure what we should call it, but at least it's an aroused state that can come from many different reasons.
Yeah, and I want to dig deeper into that in a second. I think the piece that's really important for all of us is to recognize that the body can be in a stress response even when we don't intellectually register stress. And that's essentially what it's showing us.
That's right, because we cannot sense our inner stress levels. We are not equipped to do that through the evolution. All our senses have been directed outwards. We have excellent eyesight, excellent hearing, excellent taste and smell, because throughout the millions of years, all the threats came from the outside, other animals, enemies, foul food, and so on. But now what threatens our health is our inner state of stress, and we are just not equipped to do that. We cannot feel if we have a 60 or 80 in heart rate. And that would be a huge difference in stress levels, and still we can't feel that. So these monitors is a kind of a substitute for a sense that we have never needed to develop. And the stress is also inflammation. So when you eat food that is inflammatory, your heart rate will react. So you can be on the couch watching Netflix, eating some chips or crisps or something, and you will be in the stress state. Not because you're mentally stressed, because your body is stressed from the food that you're eating, the ultra-processed food, for example. And the title of your podcast is Salad, right? And if I want to be sure that I'm not stressed, then I order a Caesar salad. Then I can see that my heart rate will not react to that. It's calm. It's not making an inflammation in my gut.
Yeah. So before we get into, because you're even touching on, some of these things that can, show up in our heart rate and our heart rate variability. When people are looking at their wearables, let's just sort of interpret some of these numbers. We said, higher is preferred. What do you see as sort of normal ranges for heart rate variability versus optimal ranges?
Yeah. So first of all, the baseline number that you get is very individual. So you shouldn't compare yourself to other people's averages. So you should look at what your heart rate variability is. It's measured in milliseconds. A typical heart rate variability would be for a young person, it could be 50 or 60 if you're an average. If you're my age, 55, it would be maybe 30 or 35 would be an average. And that there will be differences. And even if one at my age would have 70 in heart rate variability and I would have 35, it doesn't mean that this person has a better health than me necessarily because of this genetic variation. So what you should do is to try to find out what is your heart rate variability in your best days. And when you can identify that and you can have a look at the day and see what did you do that day? Were you relaxing? What were you eating? Did you have any alcohol and so on? And also to see on your worst day, what did you do? And then you start kind of a conversation with your body and you start improving yourself. And yeah, most people do is that they cut down on alcohol. Yeah. Not necessarily cut out, but they cut down because they see the physiological price of it. They cut down late meals. They start, they end their meal maybe 3 or 4 hours before they go to bed because they can clearly see that their sleep is better without late night meals. And most people would implement some kind of stress management like breath work or like cold plunges, cold showers and so on, meditation, reading. You will see that our physiology is made for more inactive time and restful time than we think. And the good thing is that if you put in some more restful time, it's also good for performance. So the best performers, regardless of what they do, whether they are businessmen, athletes, musicians, whatever, the ones that are very good at deliberately, pushing themselves, but also deliberately resting, they will be the best performers because you will get into a very useful default mode network in your brain that is very creative. You get better ideas when you are good at resting and taking the downtime.
Yeah. So as you were saying that, I was pulling up my numbers in my app. And it's so interesting because, even in the same, few minutes, there can be quite a range. As we're sitting here, I've gotten up to 111, as we're sitting here. But it sort of depends, right, on the activity and the time of day. And like you said, what we've eaten and those kinds of things. One of the most fascinating things about your work is what heart rate variability can translate into in terms of understanding aspects of our health. So not just stress, like we've talked about, but even in terms of disease or what else might be going on. So what are some of the things that you've seen in terms of, first getting an indication through heart rate variability, and then we can keep digging into, all the things to improve it?
Yeah. So also diseases, there's a connection between a low heart rate variability and almost all kind of diseases. So you can Google heart rate variability and cancer or dementia or Parkinson and stroke and heart failure and whatever, and you will see there's a connection to heart rate variability because heart rate variability, if it's low, is a sign that your body is under pressure, leaving less forces and energy available for the immune system to do its work. So if you on your monitor see that your heart rate variability goes down, it could be a sign of a normal infection, COVID or the flu or whatever. But it could also be a more dangerous thing. So if you get cancer, for example, there are several people have contacted me having seen that their heart rate variability is low for a longer time. They tried to mitigate the stress, nothing happened. And finally, it's revealed that it was a cancer coming because also these kind of strains on your system would be visible in the heart rate and heart rate variability. But there's a lot of detective work to do because since everything that is a strain on your system can lead to a lower heart rate variability, you have to find out what is causing it now. You have to use your own intelligence. You will get help, though, by artificial intelligence, because the manufacturers of these systems will also use artificial intelligence to try to guess what is going on in your life. And this is probably in the future going to be a lot more sophisticated than it is now.
Yeah, for sure. So, it makes the argument for what you were saying before even, and what I want to dig into more as far as all the other things that are going on of what we're eating, how we're sleeping, the alcohol, all these other pieces, so that we can get a sense for ourselves of what creates the fluctuations. And then, knowing all that other data, we can put it together.
Yeah. And in my book, The Pulse Cure, which is actually the only book so far, to my knowledge and my publisher's knowledge, which is a first book on how to do the lifestyle changes compared to how you use your heart rate monitors, and to help you guide you along to find these things that affect your nervous system and your physiology. So,
yeah. And that's what I want to dig into more. Really quick, let's highlight our partner for this episode, and then we'll come back to all of those insights and things that we can do. All right, big thanks to DNA Miracles for supporting Salad with a Side of Fries. Because every child is a miracle, DNA Miracles provides the highest quality body and wellness products designed for babies, children, and expectant mothers. All products are gentle, easy to use, and 100% effective when used as directed. DNA Miracles partner with leading health professionals and scientists to follow the highest standards in ingredient selection to create the most effective skin, hair, and health solutions. As natural as possible, DNA Miracles is the best and safest option on the market for you and your little miracle. From expert pediatricians to real family testimonials, everyone has fallen in love with DNA Miracles. So today we're focused on heart health and helping the body manage stress and everything coming at us in life. The littles in our lives are not exempt from these same pressures. So DNA is part of how you can help your kids with healthful habits like a morning routine with their daily vitamins. And what's even better, DNA truly sets them up for health. I see it over and over. A high-quality multivitamin can support your little's mood, attention, immune system, and overall health. DNA Miracles has 2 different multivitamins. The DNA Miracles Isotonics Multivitamin Plus was formulated to support the needs of children needing particular nutritional support in the areas of digestion, neurological, and metabolic health. Truly a phenomenal formula to set up your kids for success each day. And you can level up with the DNA Miracles Essential Omega-3 because let's face it, most kids, frankly, most adults aren't eating sardines, anchovies, even salmon on a regular basis. So I think you'll agree the health of your littles is worth a couple dollars a day, and that's before your discount for being a Salad with a Side of Fries listener. To get 10% off and free shipping on your order, text the word MIRACLES, MIRACLES, to 844-947-4846. You'll receive the link and coupon code right to your phone. Again, simply text the word MIRACLES, MIRACLES, to 844-947-4846. This is a toll-free number. Standard text and data rates may apply. Also, since you already listened to Salad with a Side of Fries, check out SheMD. The SheMD podcast is on a mission to change the world of women's health by educating one woman at a time with the knowledge and expertise to be their own health advocate. Sound familiar? From fertility and PCOS to mental health and menopause, SheMD tackles many of today's major health concerns and questions, all from the lens of women. I love the episodes featuring Dr. A's expertise around endometriosis and PCOS. And just like Salad with a Side of Fries, SheMD believes in empowerment through knowledge. SheMD, though, brings you the Western medicine angle, except it's like if your doctor actually explained everything to you. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Check out SheMD wherever you get your podcasts today. Okay, Torkil, so we know that heart rate variability really connects to stress. You've mentioned ultra-processed foods as one of maybe the surprising things. What other surprises or unexpected sources of stress do you see or have you seen with people?
Yeah, it could be related to what you were just talking about. You could have an iron deficiency or vitamin deficiency. That would be shown in the heart rate variability. So many people find that if their B12 is low, or if they have low vitamin D, for example, then there's heart rate variability goes down because, and also with the omega-3, and you could also Google that, heart rate variability combined to those words, and you'll see that if you get then supplements for B12 and D or iron up, then the stress on your system goes down. So it would be stressful to have these deficiencies, which would be a surprise to me. So I've heard of people who can see that their heart rate variability goes down. Then they take a B12 shot, if they use in that sense, and the heart rate variability goes up again quite fast. So that could be some of the surprising things that people discover.
And then heart rate variability and sleep are intimately connected. Mm-hmm. Can you speak to using heart rate variability to improve sleep and even sleep to improve heart rate variability?
Yeah, so it's a connection there in both ways, as you mentioned here. So to have a good night's sleep, that has to be a restorative sleep. And this is what you can measure with the heart rate variability. So you could sleep for the same amount of hours after a late night meal, for example, or having alcohol. You could sleep for like 7 hours. But if you have been eating late or the alcohol, then the heart rate variability will be lower and the sleep will not be restorative. And after a while, you will find out that to have restorative sleep also regarding the stress, you should wind down in the evening, 1 to 2 hours before you go to bed. Calm down, read, meditate, dim the lights, so you can slow down your system and you will sleep more effectively. And of course, when you can see that on your wearable, it's much more motivating to accomplish this because it gets very visible, the results that you get. So that would be something that is important. And also to keep the temperature in your bedroom quite low. So I don't remember exactly the numbers in Fahrenheit, but I think at least below 60 degrees Fahrenheit, I think.
I think it's like 67, 68, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there. So to keep it quite cool, and you would be able to see what temperature is better for you. So these things is something that would affect your sleep. And of course, earlier, people used to brag about how little sleep they got. Like I can only sleep 5 hours and still going strong. But now we know that if you don't get enough sleep, it's really dangerous. It's carcinogenic. If you sleep less than 6 hours compared to more than 7, you double your risk of cancer, for example. In medical school, we did not know that. We were not talking about that even 10 years ago. But now the research, the knowledge in these areas of lifestyle is kind of exploding. So we know so much more now. So it's really, really important for you to get good enough sleep. And when you have gotten good enough sleep in the morning, you will have more available forces to make good choices throughout the day. So good sleep, restful sleep starts in the day, and the restful day with, a lot of energy, refreshed and feeling refreshed starts in the night. So it's all connected.
Yeah, for sure. And so that almost makes me think too, what you're saying is, Whoop, the wearable, calls it like a readiness score. Like their big thing is about recovery.
Yeah, in the morning, you get a recovery score. It could be red, which of course is not good. It could be yellow, which you may have most of the days, or green. So, and the score is then from 0 up to 100. So in the morning, you will see, okay, what kind of energy do I have today? Can I go exercising, or should I rather do a yoga session? Should I be really careful what I'm eating today? And so on. And then the Whoop will give you a strain level throughout the day. And it will tell you, okay, now you have reached a level of strain that is ideal for this kind of recovery that you had today. And so this is really good about Whoop, I think. And you will get weekly charts and monthly reports on how you're doing. And the most important is to have a sustainable stress levels. So you don't have to be perfect, but so many people are in a burnout situation. So in my job as a doctor, as a general practitioner, I meet so many people who are on the verge of burnout, or past that. They have brain fog, they have trouble concentrating, they're anxious, they're depressed and feeling fatigued. And you wouldn't reach that state without your wearable like Whoop warning you long before that this level of stress is not sustainable. You need to calm down. You need to do something to mitigate this stress so that you will not get sick.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, even if it's not a Whoop, right, all of the wearables that are looking at this information, like we can see the indications in that heart rate variability. And so some of what you're talking about too is this, like, I love the idea of connecting it to burnout and having these indications far before, we really reach that end state. And I know you mentioned last time we spoke that you've also seen people use heart rate variability to improve PMS symptoms and things like that.
So that would be a big surprise, I think, for many people, at least to me, because of course I could not measure that on myself for natural reasons. So what people find if you have PMS symptoms is that during the time of PMS, the heart rate variability really goes down. And to me, and then I have to talk about the Garmin watches, because the Garmin watches would be the best ones to really micromanage your stress levels, and you would be able to see on the curves that the week with PMS symptoms is as low, the level of the heart rate variability goes as low as if you're having a serious COVID infection. I see that the strain is in the same category. And of course, then for so many women, it's like having COVID 1 week every month. And no wonder it gets really, really hard. The good thing is that when you can mitigate stress in that week, you can flatten that curve and be relieved of the symptoms. Because the problem is that high cortisol, high stress levels interferes with the female reproductive hormones in a deliberate way. Because throughout history, if there was stressful times, if there was a draft, if there was a war, if there was a serious situation in your tribe, it was not the time to either want to have babies or have babies. So our organisms with the high stress levels have a feedback mechanism to reduce the chances of getting pregnant. And this would be good if it's only for a short time, maybe a week or two of intense war or whatever it would be. But now that so many people are stressed in the chronic stress levels for a long time, it's really disturbing the health of women. So, for example, the Norwegian soccer team would use Oura rings to be able to adjust their intensity of their training and life in general in this week, so that they will maybe do some lighter training, making sure that they don't eat chocolate, for example, which could be a major stressor for many people, and to do a skip alcohol, do a yoga session instead of a hard exercise, and so on. And they would be able to see that result on the Garmin watches in particular.
I love this so much because I think it's the piece that people so easily overlook, that, the human body, like, it never ceases to amaze me. The body is amazing, and how, it will naturally respond to a stressful situation in such a way. But I think it's also validating in terms of what people experience with PMS, So in thinking about this, you've mentioned before, we've talked about sleep, downtime. You mentioned, meditation, deep breathing. You mentioned a cold shower, not eating too close to bed. What are some of the other things that we can do to see improvements in heart rate variability?
That would be, for example, sun exposure. We are, of course, our cells have been cooperating with the energy of the sun, the electromagnetic rays, the photons that come from the sun, that will affect our cells in a productive way. So I can see, in the wintertime, I can see so many people are contacting me on Instagram and so on. What is happening with my heart rate variability? It's just going down and down and down, and there's nothing I can do. And often that would be a lack of sun exposure, for example. And also being out in nature is good for our heart rate variability. So, we are made to be in nature. Now, Americans are inside 97% of the time. And that will have a price, which would be visible then in heart rate variability. So being out in nature, even now in the wintertime, getting out, get some sun exposure, even if there's not enough UV radiation to get a tan, the infrared and red light, which is half of the sun energy will be in the red light and infrared light department, will still affect your mitochondria and your cells in a productive way. So this would also be an important thing to be aware of.
I love it. And again, it's things that people wouldn't necessarily realize. And I think we hear all the time the importance of nature, or we hear about infrared light or slowing down. Like for all of us, it requires, I think, such a practice to do that. But I also see, as you said before, that when we can see the difference in our heart rate variability pretty quickly, then it helps us want to do those things.
Absolutely. It's like you have a speedometer for your physiology. So just like in your car, to drive safely, you have to know your speed. You have to know how much gas is left on the tank, what's the outside temperature, and all of these different details that you get in your car. But this is a way to live safely, that you can see on your heart rate that, okay, I'm within a good range here. That you're sitting in a meeting, for example, and suddenly you see that your heart rate is high. And then, wow, I should take some breaths. And the most important would be the breath work. And you don't necessarily need to have this 10 or 15 minutes. Just half a minute is okay. So if you just catch yourself in a meeting or in a phone call and you suddenly see that my heart rate is really high, I'm stressed now, breathe slowly. Nobody will notice if you're in a meeting, or if you're in a phone call. Slow down your breath. Maybe close your eyes. So that if you can do this multiple times throughout the day, you calm your system down and you will not need those longer breaks. So you can adjust your speed as you go along in your daily life.
I love it. It's such a piece of the tools that are so in our control to reclaim our health. Because kind of going back to where we started this conversation, here is this biometric that's an indication of what's happening on the inside that allows us to adapt and respond to anything that comes at us and therefore improve our health.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be so surprising, that our heart, which is responding to everything that happens to us, can be used as a monitor to measure the intensity in your life and to be able to adjust it. So, and the interesting thing is that this new technology, what it really does is it points backwards in time. So what seems to be better for our health is somewhat moving closer to the circumstances that we had in evolutionary times. Sleep well at night, eat real food that our immune system and our gut can recognize as food, and not the ultra-processed food. Being out in nature, getting the sun exposure, having a good circadian rhythm, and so on. And it's free, Doing breathwork is free, sleeping is free. So all the different strategies that can help you avoid disease is free. It's only when you get sick, that's when your health depends on your wallet.
Well said.
I think, so I think we should, really take care of that and do some investment. Because if you don't do this investment in your lifestyle, there will be a price to pay afterwards. And then it's outside of your control. So after you get sick, you're in the hands, and your destiny is in the hands of the healthcare system and the quality of it. But if you use these strategies to live longer and healthier, you have the control. And you literally have the control in your own hands. And actually, Cristiano Ronaldo is the world's most famous soccer player. He's probably not so popular in the US, as you have.
We know him.
Football. You know him? Yeah. He says it's like having a doctor on your wrist. That is what it says about the Whoop band. And I would agree to that you have your own doctor. And the first page of my book, The Pulse Cure, I'm quoting Albert Schweitzer, who in the 1850s or somewhere around that said that the doctor of the future will be yourself. And that is the time now, that through this means, through these wearables, you have the chance to become the CEO of your own health and take charge of your own health and not leave it up to the doctor.
Amazing.
Like me.
Yes, right. And I love it. I think that's the perfect sentiment to sort of close out this conversation. And that's the power that we have when we really understand the information that's coming to us. So thank you for that. All right. It's time for our rapid fire off-topic questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What's the best thing you've done for your health this week? And what's the naughtiest thing you've done related to your health this week?
That's quite easy, actually. The best thing, I'm actually now at the fasting mimicking diet retreat. And that is the best thing. So for 3 days, I've been eating 700 calories, which will make the autophagy in the body. Autophagy is that instead of using the food that you provided, when you only have 700 calories a day, it will start to eat from your worst cells, your zombie cells, your senescent cells, that is on the verge of, becoming inflammatory. So that is the best thing I've done. But just before I went here, I got a big box of chocolate and I thought, okay, I'll be on this fasting mimicking diet retreat, so I'll have that now. And the stress was really high. So if you eat a box of chocolate, and you can see it immediately on your heart rate monitor, that it's very stressful. And that was actually a bit naughty. I just felt that I shouldn't do this, but as I'm going to this retreat, I can.
Right. All right. If you weren't a doctor, author, photographer, traveler, what would you do?
I think I would just travel the world. But that is one of the things that you said that I was doing. So I'm doing what I want to do. If I wanted to do something else, I would have done it already. So I would love to fly around the world. I would love to have my own airplane and fly around the world. And nice. That is what I would do.
Excellent. What's your favorite book on any topic other than your area of expertise? Or you could give us a fiction book.
A fiction book that I love and many people love, I know, is on the top 10 of all-time best-selling books. It's The Alchemist from Paulo Coelho. Yeah, so follow your dreams. And that is also the most important thing to me, to be able to follow your dreams. But to be able to follow your dreams, you need health. That is a foundation of being able to do that. And that is why I changed my life from just focusing on following my dreams to making sure that I have a health that is compatible with that aim. Yeah.
1,000%. If you could cure one ailment, disease, or sickness, what would it be?
I would probably dementia.
Yeah. If you were a superhero, what would be your superpower?
That would be maybe to read people's minds. That would be interesting.
Ooh.
When I wanted to, and not
right.
when I didn't want to. Yeah.
What's your biggest pet peeve?
I don't think I have that. I'm not so easily annoyed.
Yeah.
That may be annoying for some people, but I'm not easily annoyed, so I wouldn't have any.
Okay. Last one, in your opinion, what's the next frontier in wellness?
That is this, that we can use technology to track our system. So it's actually, I'm on lots of podcasts and I'm still the only one talking about this, or maybe there's one or two other people. So this is still the frontier. And we're still on the frontier. We're still the ones that we who are using these wearables are still like pioneers. We're still like getting out on a big continent like the US or North America, discovering things. On Instagram, people tag me and tell me things that, I didn't know about. We're just like a huge number of pioneers going out on the continent, discovering things. So that's really, really interesting.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing this with all of us. Tell everybody how to connect with you, where to learn more, where to find your book, The Pulse Cure, too.
Yeah, The Pulse Cure is a normal book. It's published by a UK publisher, but you can get it anywhere in the US also from the online bookstores like Amazon. It's also an audiobook, so many podcast listeners prefer to listen to it as an audiobook instead of a paperback. And it's also an ebook, so you would be able to get it on your Kindle or on your iPad and so on. I also have an Instagram. I'm Dr. Torkil, dr.torkil, where they can connect. So I'm in my own name at LinkedIn and so on. So this is how they could connect to me.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll put links to everything in the episode notes below so everybody can find you easily. So thank you again. Just truly appreciate all of your insights and your perspective and the way that you can explain it so that everybody can really take action.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And hopefully I was able to explain it so it's useful for people. Thank you.
Yes, for sure. All right, friends, on Friday in this week's bite-sized bonus episode, our nutrition nugget is all about walnuts. So fitting for Heart Health Month, yes, and absolutely one of my favorite nuts. It's actually kind of amazing and surprising that we haven't done a nutrition nugget yet on walnuts. So The time is now. We're going to talk about them on Friday. All the health benefits, why they're one of my favorites, if there's anything to watch out for when eating walnuts too. So we'll get into it all on Friday in this week's Nutrition Nugget bonus episode. Be sure wherever you're listening, click the plus sign or the follow button, and then your app will alert you when it is live on Friday morning. Well, as always, everybody, I'm your health coach and host, Jenn Trepeck. Connect with me on Instagram or all social media. I'm at Jenn Trepeck, JENNTREPECK. Website is asaladwithasideoffries.com. Pick your platform, send a message. Hearing your takeaways, your ideas, your questions is honestly my favorite thing. This is also the easiest way to learn more about working with me as your health coach. Torkil Færø, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for letting me be on your show. Thank you.
Absolutely. And friends, if you are not already, join our membership by going to glow.fm/saladwithaside-of-fries. This shows your support for this podcast, this community, and most importantly, it supports your health. Plus, you'll get this week's recipe for the healthy breakfast bowls in honor of February being National Hot Breakfast Month. So until next week, remember, focusing on your heart rate variability just might be a game changer for understanding your own body and your health. Well, friends, that's it for today's episode of Salad with a Side of Fries. Congratulations for making yourself and your health a priority. Thanks so much for joining us. Be sure to click subscribe or follow on your favorite podcast platform. Share us with a friend, and we'll be back next week. Always remember, you deserve it, and you are worth it. Happy healthy.